welcome to Speech Time with Miss McDonald. Okay, guys, so today we're going to talk about antonyms. Antonyms. So really when we're talking about antonyms, I want us to make sure that we have our brains in the right place. So that means I need you to find a space in your home where you can have all of the attention on me and this lesson. So you're going to find a space in your home that's quiet and that's accessible for you to be able to use a pen and paper and watch this video so we can practice our antonyms. Antonyms. All right? So now that you are in the right space, you're in the right head space, you're ready to learn, you have your pen, you have your paper, I want you to write this at the top of your page. Antonym. Antonym. You're going to write antonym at the very top of your paper, and you're going to write an equal sign. So we can learn what the meaning of an antonym is. If you've seen the previous video, then we've already talked about synonyms and what synonyms mean in terms of synonyms being the same. So if we're talking about antonyms, antonyms, then we're talking about something that means the opposite. Opposite meaning. So we know with synonyms, we were talking about the same, and with antonyms, we were talking about the opposite meaning. So let's take some time to write that down. You're first going to, again, write antonym on one side, the equal sign, and then you're going to write anti. I put a cross out here so you can see you're going to cross it out. Like, no, not at all, not the same. And opposite. And there's one word that I'm missing, and that is meaning. So I'm going to write that with you. We've written antonym, anti, opposite, meaning. M-E-A-N-I-N-G. And it will look something like this. Antonym, anti, opposite, meaning. Which means that antonyms are really talking about words that have opposite meanings. They do not mean the same things. They are the opposites. So we flipped the script and we're doing it differently. We first talked about synonyms and now we're talking about how things have opposite meanings. So what does that look like? Well, let me find some words for you. All right, so our first word we're gonna think about today is the word thick. So you're going to write the word T-H-I-C-K. Thick. When I think about the word thick, I think about how I love to make brownie batter. And when I stir it up, it's hard to stir it around because the batter is so thick. Oh, I like that. And then sometimes I take, actually you're not supposed to, but I like to sometimes lick the spatula with the brownie batter on it, but you're not really supposed to do that, so don't do that at home, kids. But the batter is thick. If I added a whole bunch of water to my batter, it would become less and less and less thick. And that means it might become, what's the opposite of thick? Something that's not very thick and becomes smaller and smaller, flatter and flatter, means it's very thin. The opposite of thick is something that's very thin. So let's write that down. T-H-I-N. Thin. It's helpful when we're thinking about antonyms or opposites in general to think about things we've seen in our everyday life. So if you're thinking about something you've seen that is thick, imagine what it would be if it was its opposite. So if I'm in my favorite book and I'm reading my favorite book and it has many pages, then the book would be thick. But what if my little brother comes into the room and just rips out all the pages? the pages of the book would make it less and less and less as each page got ripped out until it was a scrawny little thin book. Thin. So we know that thick is the opposite of thin, and thin is the opposite of thick. So let's come up with another one. Here's a really good one. As the weather is changing, we're gonna write the word cold. C-O-L-D, cold. Now we've come out of winter and now we're in the springtime, but let's go back and remember what it was like in winter. In winter, it feels pretty cold. As we transition out of winter, we're coming into spring and then summer, and we notice how the weather changes. So when we're talking about how cold it is in the winter, but what's the opposite of cold? If you said hot or warm, then you're right. Because as the seasons change, we get into the warmer weather months, like June, July, and August. So we talked about the word cold, and the opposite was, if you said hot, then you're right. So let's write it, H-O-T, hot, or we could also say warm. So as we're thinking about opposites, again, I want you to think about things in your everyday life. So if you've experienced something cold, what's the opposite of that? I gave the example of the seasons. I also gave the example of, here's one that I really like. What if I'm drinking something that's really, really, really hot? I might burn myself because it's so hot. And I need to do what to cool it down? I might add some ice, which is really, really cold, and it's opposite. So now we've had two examples, our weather changing, and I gave you a bonus example of something that I experience in my daily life. If I want to make some tea and it's really hot, I might add some ice because it's really cold. So let's do another one. What about, this one. E-A-R-L-Y. Early. The word early. First, I want you to think about what the word early means. If your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle come in and say, tomorrow you have to wake up early, how does that make you feel? I know when I have to wake up early, it's not always my favorite thing to do. The word early means it's something in the morning time or something that happens early or before time, early. So when we're talking about early, what would be the opposite of early? Let's say you came to school and before school is open, again, before, and the door is locked, that means you came to school too early. So sometimes they make you wait outside before you can come into breakfast. Or if you get to the bus before the bus has come, you might be there too early because you're there before a scheduled point in time. So that's early. So what happens if we are not early? Then we might be running, if you said late, then you're right. If we're not early, then we're late. So we're gonna write L-A-T-E. So your paper should look something like this. We've already done thick and thin, cold and hot, early and late. And just like that, your vocabulary has doubled because you not only know the word that's been given, but you know its opposite or its antonym, all right? So let's do another one. But this time, what I want you to do is come up with them for yourself, okay? I'm gonna write down 3 words, and what you're going to do is come up with their antonym, okay? So the next word I'm gonna write is slow. You thought I was in slow motion, didn't you? All right, I'm happy I tricked you. The word is slow. So let's write it down. S-L-O-W. The word is slow. And our next word is safe. S-A-F-E. Safe. And our last word is similar. S-I-M-I-L-A-R. Similar. Your paper should look something like this. Slow, safe, similar. I don't know how I did all these S words at the end. But here are the last three words. So you're going to think in your head, what are some antonyms for the words slow, safe, and similar? And remember, we're talking about the opposite, anti, not the same meaning. So I'm going to give a short dance break, and you're going to think about three words that are the opposite of slow, safe, and similar. Okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. I know you got these antonyms. I know you got these antonyms. I know you got these antonyms. You got these antonyms. Level up, level up. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. Okay, I know this is a really bad dance break, but hopefully you figured out your antonyms. What I need you to do is, if you haven't figured out the antonyms, pause the video, take your time, think about what are opposites of these words. If it's giving you some trouble, it's okay. That's what I'm here for. We're gonna work through them together. I want you to continue watching the video, and if you're starting to get the hang of it, pause it, and then pick back up and trying to do it by yourself. Okay? So here we go. Slow. What's the opposite of slow? If I see you walking down the street very slowly, but then there's a dog running after you, what are you going to do? You're going to need to move if you said fast or quickly, then you're right. So let's write it down. F-A-S-T. The word is fast. You're going to need to move pretty fast if you're going to outrun that dog. Again, think about things that are happening in your everyday life that will help you to find the opposite words. What about the word safe? If you're feeling safe and sound, what does that mean? When we're feeling safe, that means that nothing around us is making us feel, if you're thinking scared, frightened, or in danger, then you're right. So the opposite of safe is danger. When I am feeling like I'm in danger, I do not feel safe. So we're going to write that down. D-A-N-G-E-R. The opposite of safe is danger. So if you know that you're walking in the middle of the street and you didn't look both ways, that wasn't a safe way to walk across the street. That is very dangerous. All right, and our last one is similar. Now this is a great one to know because this is what we've been practicing. Similar, same, synonyms. So when we're talking about something that's similar, we're talking about things that are the same. Luckily enough, we're doing a whole lesson on antonyms, meaning that they're the opposite. They are, if you're thinking different, hello, you're right. Synonyms, same, similar, antonym, opposite, different. So let's write the word different. D-I-F-F-E-R-E-N-T. Different. So we have written down all of our words for synonyms and antonyms between this video and the last video. So we know what our antonyms are. We know that they are opposite meaning words, And we were able to find them by really thinking about what are opposites that happen in our everyday life. So I want you to continue to do the same thing. Think about some opposites that happen in your everyday life and then write them down, okay? I hope that this was helpful and that you got a really good understanding of what antonyms are. If you need any supports, you can always come to Miss McDonald and I will support you, okay? And that's it. See you guys later.